Hi, I'm Richard, the founder of 10 Adventures, and this is the 10 Adventures podcast. Each week we talk to real people about real adventures as they explore this incredible planet we all live on. Canada's Yukon still has the wild feeling where you can get away from it all and enjoy a special experience in nature. I personally grew up reading books by Pierre Berton and seeing books with the drawings of Ted Harrison, so it's always felt like a magical place to me. So I'm excited today as we're talking about everything Yukon with Cornelius Iwan, part of the team at Ruby Range Adventures, an adventure tour operator that has spent the last 30 years focusing on Canada's North and Alaska. Hi, Cornelius.
Nice to meet you.
So people can hear your accent, Cornelius. You're obviously not native from the Yukon. Tell us your story about how you made it to the Yukon.
My family and I, we came over in 2014 from Germany. The Yukon has always been in our minds, as the original wild place in Canada. The vast north with its great vistas and just beautiful scenery. Yeah, we always had that vision, and we finally made it over for good in 2014. And we're very happy ever since. It's the perfect place for us because we're both very outdoorsy, and we really enjoy the unique feeling living up north.
You've been in the Yukon for 7 years. Is there one memory of one trip or one adventure you went on that just kind of, for you, sums up, why the Yukon's so special?
There's actually quite a few, but one that I just remember, I'm just trying out a new bike trail with my mountain bike. I'm just riding down one of these river valleys, actually fairly close to Whitehorse. And you have all this beautiful surrounding just close to Whitehorse. That's why it's called the wilderness city as well. So I'm riding down that valley, and it's opening up, it's getting wider, and all of a sudden I'm getting to this crystal clear, beautiful lake just in front of a big mountain range. It just opened up all of a sudden. I had no idea where I was going. I was just thinking I'm going to check out this trail. And it actually brought me to one of my most favorite places right there. A couple of weeks later, I hiked the trail with my family, and we spent a day there. And it's just one of these magic places for me still.
That sounds great. And I think when I talk to people who have traveled in the Yukon, it is kind of just being amazed and being surprised and discovering these places that aren't plastered all over Instagram and social media. It feels like you're really almost an explorer finding places for the first time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it felt like, really. You almost feel like you might be the first one discovering this, And
I think that's the feeling why, people going to the Yukon, they're looking for that sense of adventure. Down here in southern Canada or the lower 48, there's lots of people everywhere. Whereas, going up to the Yukon, you can really have this experience where you're not surrounded by thousands of other people. I've heard great things about hiking and trekking in the Yukon. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to go on a trekking trip or a backpacking trip or just going day hiking in the Yukon?
I mean, that's one of our main hobbies here in the Yukon. First of all, I have to say there's a great trail system which offers hiking for pretty much everybody. Yeah, you can go on short hikes or multi-day hikes. And one of the big bonuses also is that Kluane Park is right there, which is one of the biggest national parks in Canada with endless ice fields, deep forests, and majestic mountains. And the trail system is just unbelievable. I mean, they're fairly well maintained, and you can choose your multi-day backcountry trip or just go for an amazing day hike. And Kluane Park, which is about an hour and a half from Whitehorse, this is where you get really a good impression of the northern scenery, because it opens up. You have these huge lakes, big valleys, and you kind of get an impression of the northern tundra already. And you can choose from a vast variety of beautiful hikes. Great opportunities, by the way, also to view wildlife. Unbelievable opportunities there for example, Dall sheep, grizzly bears.
I've heard a little bit about Kluane, but I hear a lot about the Chilkoot Trail, the famous Gold Rush Trail. I'd love to hear some more about that. And, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about the Chilkoot?
Certainly, yeah. Well, it's first of all, it's the original route, so to speak, for the gold rush people that started their journey from the coast up into the interior, over the coast mountains, and then down to the big lakes, and where they finally built their boats and made it into the Yukon River, all the way down to Dawson City to the Klondike gold fields. So you are, if you want to hike the Chilkoot Trail, you're going to be on the historical route for those people who did that. And you can really still experience some of it, because there's like remnants along the trail, old kitchens and like cans and all kinds of equipment pieces, some old wagons and stuff. You really get a feel for the time there. Of course, I mean, it's unbelievable to hike from the ocean up into the coast mountains and climb those called golden stairs, where people, thousands of people, made it up there with tons of equipment. They carried so much stuff over that pass, and that's why you find like all kinds of cool remnants along the trail, right? So the Chilkoot Trail is an experience for itself, that's for sure. It's a 52-kilometer track. People usually do it in 5 days, 4 nights on the trail. And then there's another cool thing. The ending of the trip, you can basically choose between being picked up by a float plane from Lake Bennett, which would bring you back to Whitehorse, for example, or you could take the White Pass train from Bennett Lake back to Carcross, for example, which is the nearest town to that, where the trail ends. Yeah, it's the historical experience, and of course, it offers amazing views and wildlife experiences, all kinds of stuff.
It sounds great, and I've been to Skagway, the starting point, and that in itself is a heck of a fun little town to visit and spend time in and do day hikes. Just from Skagway is good, let alone doing the complete Chilkoot Trail. I'm really interested in the Tombstone Territorial Park, because I heard one person told me they felt it was another version of Patagonia, the famous area down in Chile and Argentina. They thought it was that special. Can you tell us a little bit about Tombstone?
Yeah, Patagonia. I mean, yeah, people say that here. That's true. Well, first of all, Tombstone Mountains, that mountain range is so unique because it's just, without hardly any transition, it reaches up from the tundra. So it's very, very impressive just looking at this mountain range. And the other thing I want to mention is the tundra, which basically consists of like berry bushes and dwarf birch bushes surrounding this mountain range. And in the mountain valleys, you have that as well. Vegetation of the tundra, it turns into an unbelievable like carpet of colors, really, in late August and September. So that's one of the main reasons actually why so many people want to go up there. The colors in the mountain valleys are absolutely magnificent. And of course, you're hiking up those mountains and it's so open and vast. The vegetation is so low. That's generally, I would say, a Yukon thing, and the further you go up north, the better it gets. It just opens up, and you can see for miles and miles. And sometimes you have these cool experiences, especially Tombstone, where you can look so far. You see an animal, you might just have your binoculars with you, and you can watch them for hours and hours just browsing through the tundra. Because it's so open, you can just see it all,
You talked a little bit about wildlife. What are some tips you have for people that want to spot wildlife when they're in the Yukon?
That's a good question. I really like that because my biggest hobby is wildlife photography. I'm always taking my camera. I have quite a camera. I just love that. Anyways, I would say, of course, choose the best times of the year, which is spring. Late May, June is great because all the greens are coming up again, and the bears and all the other animals really get out of the bush and trying to find the first green spots. And this is where you can really start seeing things. And pretty much same thing happens again sometime in August and throughout September, especially with bears. They're getting out again, and all the other animals as well. And then some of the rivers have salmon runs. So of course, that's an amazing opportunity to watch wildlife, especially eagles and bears. The Yukon River is great. And then down into Alaska, Haines is absolutely unbelievable for bears. Skagway as well, by the way. Yeah, choose the right time. And then I would say either, go hiking or canoeing. Canoeing is just absolutely fantastic for wildlife viewing because you're just moving kind of in a natural way through those river valleys very quietly. And sometimes animals don't really pay attention to you because they think you kind of belong to nature. That's my favorite way of moving through this scenery,
Well, let's talk a little bit more about canoeing because that's one of Ruby Range's specialties. And so, what can somebody expect going on a canoe tour in the Yukon?
First of all, you're going to leave all your stress and worries behind. I mean, that happens kind of naturally because there's pretty much nothing else you can do, which sounds kind of boring, but it isn't, than to just enjoy, really dive into nature, I would say, and just enjoy what you see. And you're going to get this great feeling of being relieved from stress and worries. It's just a relaxed way, natural way to move through the area there, through those beautiful valleys, and then you get these amazing open views. If you go down the Yukon, it's just so wide. All these beaches, you just choose your beach and camp on the beach, and maybe you get lucky. And actually, you don't have to be lucky. It's quite easy to catch a fish if somebody is interested in fishing, which can be the ultimate wilderness experience, right? You catch your fish during the day and you can cook it up on the campfire at night. All these options, to really live that wilderness life for a while could come true.
Yeah, I think just, finding a beach and bringing your canoe up and just being the only people there, it's something we don't get, even if you're backcountry backpacking, there's still going to be other people around. But when you're on the river and you find your own little beach and you catch a fish and have a fire, it really is just a super, super special moment. For beginners, how do beginners, is the Yukon, are there trips suitable for beginners that just want to try this out for the first time?
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually take a lot of beginners on these trips. The Yukon is the perfect river for beginners, as well as for advanced people, because it's so scenic. You can be a beginner or an advanced paddler. It's going to be a great experience. Yeah, the river itself does hardly have any rapids, and it has a great flow. So even without paddling, you're moving down with about I think 12 to 14 kilometers an hour. which is great because, you're going to make like 50, 60, 70 kilometers sometimes in a day, which doesn't require too much action, actually. Yeah, the Yukon River is the perfect river, I think, for beginners.
And you mentioned earlier about mountain biking. I know that's something you're really passionate about. What's it like for mountain bike enthusiasts? Are there lots of defined trails, or is it still pretty early days for mountain biking?
Around Whitehorse, you have it all, basically. There's a vast trail system around Whitehorse, and it gives you everything, like for crazy people or for like normal mountain bikers who just want to go on a little scenic ride around some lakes and stuff, some great loops there, and everything from bridges to crazy jumps. It's really all there. Yeah, I really always enjoyed mountain biking, always enjoy mountain biking after work, before work. I bike to work, I bike back from work. And like, for example, just one little example, Miles Canyon, which is like a little stretch of the Yukon River, very close to Whitehorse, with a big hanging bridge and this beautiful blue water in that canyon is one of the best experiences right close to town.
That does sound great. Part of the team here, when they found out I was talking to you about the Yukon, they want to know about bike packing or cycle touring, whether or not it's going on gravel roads with a gravel bike or going on road bikes. Can you talk a little bit about the options for kind of long, multi-day bike tours in the Yukon?
Yeah, there's tons. You could go on one of the highways, for example, go from Whitehorse all the way up to Inuvik. Pass Tombstone Mountains, go further up the Dempster Highway, and experience how the landscape opens up more and more. And eventually, you're going to go through tundra, and you might be able to go by thousands of caribous. Maybe you get lucky and meet one of these herds while they migrate through the tundra. All these things. And then another great option I can think of is going from Whitehorse to Haines Junction, which is right at Kluane Park. Or you start out from Haines Junction and then take a road which isn't even a long trip, which would be like 250K from Haines Junction down into Haines, Alaska, which brings you basically along Kluane Park, through some tundra, down into the valley. It's called the Valley of the Bald Eagles. And if you go in the fall, you're going to see hundreds, maybe thousands of bald eagles and grizzly bears trying to get as much protein in for the winter from the salmon.
So we've talked a lot about what you can do in summer. The summer season is short. What is the summer season in the Yukon?
It is fairly short, actually. Or not. I mean, the big advantage, and that's also the big advantage of the Yukon, I would say, of the Yukon summer. The days are incredibly long because of the midnight sun, because you're quite far up north. The days are so long, which makes it just perfect for touring. I mean, summer starts in June, beginning of June. Sometimes ends end of August, sometimes mid-September. We're actually touring from end of May until almost end of September. Yeah, September 20th. That's when the outdoor season stops for people who don't want to get into too much frost.
So for winter activities, what do people do? Is there lots of ski touring or snowshoeing, or how do people in Yukon spend the winters?
There's tons of winter activities. My favorite one would be dog sledding, for example, because this is where you really get to feel the spirit of the North if you're able to run your own dog team through one of these river canyons. It's, I would say, the ultimate experience for people coming to Whitehorse in the winter. Well, there's several, but dog sledding is just one of them. And then of course, snowmobiling, endless options of going up into the mountains, maybe even, spend an evening or late into the night up in the mountains somewhere and see the northern lights up there in the middle of the mountains with no light disturbances anywhere. Perfect options of seeing the northern lights. Go up, take your snowmobile up into the mountains and experience the play of colors on the sky.
And do you have any tips for people? I know here in southern Canada, it's really tricky to see the northern lights. They are only around certain, once or twice a month. You have to go out kind of a certain time of night. Is it different up north in the Yukon?
It is very different, actually. The further you go up north, the better get your chances. For example, if you go up to Dawson City, that would even be better than Whitehorse. But Whitehorse already has, you have great chances there to see them. Like if you spend 3 nights there, you have about an 80% chance of seeing them. There's forecasts and stuff for northern lights, which are fairly reliable. Yeah, you just have to be patient and persistent. It's all about being out there, and keeping your eyes open. That's the big thing, right? You got to spend some hours, some late hours outside. For example, go out at 10, come back to your hotel or whatever cabin around 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, or 4 a.m. even better. So that's what it all comes down to. You have to be persistent, but you're gonna be. Yeah, you're going to feel great if you get the chance to see them. Also, I have to mention it's possible to see them even in the fall. They're just not as great usually because the sky doesn't get that dark. But you can see great northern lights even being on a tour middle of August or late August. Maybe you get lucky and you have to get out of your tent sometime 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning and you see the northern lights. I mean, yeah, that happens quite often too.
And I can only imagine what the sky must be like at night in the Yukon with so little development, just, seeing stars. It must just be a wonderland if you enjoy stargazing.
Exactly. And yeah, that's the big advantage. You don't have to get out a long ways from town. You can just drive out for 15 minutes and you might get to a perfect viewing site.
Well, excellent. Thanks for sharing all this with us today, Cornelius. Your passion and knowledge for the Yukon really comes through. And it's actually making me excited for my next trip up north and being able to hike and enjoy the remoteness and the fresh air and nature. You talked about a lot of interesting places. We're going to share links to those in the show notes. And hopefully more people will be inspired to visit this magical part of the world.
Yeah, thanks for asking these questions, and it was a pleasure to answer them.
Excellent. Thanks, Cornelius.
You're welcome.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the 10 Adventures podcast. If you liked it, why not give us a review? Better yet, subscribe and get inspired again and again. Also, if you want to find your own adventures, why not check out 10adventures.com, where you can use our free resources to plan your own trip or book a tour in over 60 countries and make your own epic memories on your next adventure.